Welcome back to Tatay Time. This is Papa Loy,
Papa Ben.
exploring the world of fatherhood, philosophy, science, and art. Good
And
evening.
yeah, and if you're new to the podcast, we are two fathers to daughters, actually two first-time fathers to daughters.
Are you sure it's the first time
Yeah.
telling the truth?
Yeah. Shh. Man, I couldn't handle that many kids, man. I don't know how some of these Pinoys do it with
Yeah,
4, 5, 6
three,
kids. My
five,
goodness.
tops, maybe 12. I don't know.
Yeah, they
I know somebody who has like 12 kids who used to work for our uncle.
damn.
Yeah, I think it was Manang. I forgot her name.
That's a big
Yeah,
menu,
she,
man.
she died already. Rest in peace. But yeah, like something like 10 or 12.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Can you imagine cooking spaghetti for that many?
Yeah. It's like,
No, dako kayong kaldero.
goodness. How do you even manage that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are coming to the end of the year, man. This
End
is
of the year.
basically going to be the last podcast of the year.
Yeah. Damn.
But ain't going to be the last, I'll tell you that
Fast.
one.
Yeah, that was fast, man.
Everyone likes to do those end of the year, what do they call it? They look
I
back.
don't know, something like
Look back on
yeah.
2021.
21.
Let's try to do this since this is, our first season of Tata Time podcast.
And not technically the first season for the podcast. I
Uh,
mean, the whole podcasting.
Yeah,
that
we've
we're doing.
been
Yeah, so
trying to do it for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But maybe I was thinking like maybe we think about it on a first we go like on a global scale. Like what was something that you remember from 2021 on a global scale? And then we'll kind of scale back down like, okay, what happened nationally?
Yeah.
And then what happened something that you remember locally, like in our area. Or and then the last one could be what we reflected on for 2021 personally.
Yeah.
So there's like a macro and then
Yeah,
to a micro. You want to do something like that?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's start with worldly events. Anything from
Worldly
2021 that
events.
you
Of course, the pandemic.
the ongoing
Yeah, I
pandemic.
mean, like,
It's definitely not
everybody-
new.
Yeah, if there's one thing I've noticed though, it's like it's a shared experience with people from all over the world, all over the planet. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
talk to people from
Oh, yeah.
America, Canada, Africa, wherever.
Everywhere.
It's kind of like we're experiencing the same things, and I don't think there's a point in at least my life in the history of my life, at least the history of the world from where I was born, that I have ever experienced something like this.
For this long too.
Yeah, for this
My
long.
goodness. There was
Where everybody has like a shared experience,
Hmm.
and
on a global scale.
yeah, on a global scale, it's
Because there were local outbreaks of like SARS
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. So it's not completely unfamiliar, but on this scale, for 2 years now, we have to
yeah.
deal with this circus of a pandemic. It's been ridiculous.
It was insane. Yeah, it still is.
Yeah.
I mean, things are not getting any better. I think maybe we have this illusion since we see people in the mall or on the
Oh
street.
my goodness.
Everybody's out. I mean, that's good. I mean,
That's
it's like a
fine.
sense of
It's fine.
normalcy, but I'm not too optimistic that things will be better. Maybe this is just me being cautious with my thoughts about it. But who knows?
The thing
I
that
mean,
bothers me is that even before pandemic, you were never recommended by your doctor to bring your newborn to the mall
to the mall, yeah, until now.
for the sake of immunity.
Yeah,
As far as what I understand, their immune system is still immature, and they should not be picking up bacterias and germs from a place where a lot of people congregate. That's
Yeah.
that's risky. So to see that happening so willingly, it's like, why are you so eager to bring your infant to the mall? They're not going to enjoy it in the first place.
Sometimes they do, I think, or maybe it's just us
Yeah,
watching them. And they're
I
like
think so.
pointing at things like
Oh, I mean a newborn.
yeah, yeah, of course,
Yeah,
a newborn.
if
That
you-
would be
if you
insane,
have,
man.
If
yeah.
you have like a whatever 4 or 5 year old or something,
Yeah,
something where a little maybe they've been to school
Mm.
face to face and they have like some kind of immune system.
Yeah, because there are people I know who has like a 1 year old, 2 years old, and then it's the first time they've seen the mall, and it's like this place is
Ever.
amazing.
It's like
Yeah,
Disneyland.
it's like Disneyland because you've been
All
been
these toy
indoors
stores.
for the past year or more. Maybe.
right.
So and then suddenly we're able to get out and see some people, and they'd be amazed like, wow, there's a place like this. I've
Yeah.
only seen this on YouTube. Now I'm actually here.
Yeah, and going 2 years into this
Mm.
pandemic, there was something just recently I read about the statistics for our OFWs that have fallen due to COVID, and it's a big percentage in the U.S. alone.
Oh,
In the U.S.
shit.
alone, the portion of the population that has fallen to COVID,
Mm.
a big chunk of them are OFWs
Wow.
or Pinoys.
Mm.
So that speaks a lot for how many of our people here are falling across abroad, right? And that's
Mm.
very difficult when you have so many ridiculous restrictions. Sometimes they're not all ridiculous, but I mean a lot of times they have these ridiculous red tape things that people have to comply with.
Yeah.
And like when my mother just traveled to the US, and
Yeah, recently, right?
yeah, going there, why problema? There was
Mm.
no
Yeah, yeah.
requirements. They didn't even require a vaccine.
Passport, vaccine
Yeah, of course, the
passport.
passport's
Yeah,
been pretty basic, right?
yeah.
Forever. But coming back, din sa ato, sa Philippines, the
Hassle kayo.
daghan kay documents daw. I was like, oh my God. They make it so difficult, and then the quarantine is a joke. The quarantine is a joke.
Mm.
Okay, so she had to be in quarantine for 5 days because for whatever reason, the laboratory in Cebu could not get the results out
On time.
in less than 48 hours. In Manila, when I brought my mother to so that she can go out of the U.S., out of the Philippines, what was it? The quarantine. Oh, what was I going with that?
Yeah, the quarantine.
I was thinking
It's
about too
early,
many
man.
years. It's too early for this.
For people watching, because we're having vodka now, it's just the
Yeah.
alcohol. But yeah, it's
No,
fine.
so
That's
basically,
fine.
what I was trying
The
to say,
quarantine, yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
the red tape from just on our side is
Mm.
ridiculous. Over 48 hours, for whatever reason, the laboratory couldn't get the results to her. Couldn't even email it to her. She had to wait for the printed.
damn.
Okay,
Oh,
when I was in Manila, they can just email it to
yeah.
you less than 24 hours, right? And you didn't need a physical paper. So there's a lot of inconsistencies with the implementation of the
Mm.
red tape here in our country, and
Mm.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, imagine the burden that you have to carry in that. I mean, you got to spend for the hotel, right, and everything.
Yeah, it's not government sponsored, I'll tell you that.
See? Oh,
So that's another problem, right? Gasto kayo, and then
yeah.
wala pa'y labot sa kaon.
Oh, and then let's say you only have 2 weeks to spend here, because since you're on vacation, let's say
American
American
vacation
vacation, and then you have to spend a couple of days or more in
or
this
more.
hotel. Maybe you have family here. You just yearn to be back and in their arms. And, you're excited, and you got to spend a few days there. That's yeah. It's kind of insane to think about it, but yeah, because we if we go back to how it all started, we always had this fear thing going on, and then doing things for the sake of having this false security thing.
Mm,
Like, all right, we're gonna have some barriers.
yeah.
People can't come here, but it's
These requirements
yeah,
are going to ensure
requirements.
something, but it's a joke.
Yeah,
It's a joke, man. Like this face shield,
and
my God.
it never ends.
One thing good about 2021 was that the face shield is gone,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
who knows for how long, right? That's the
Jeez.
problem. We don't know if it's for good. They should just outlaw the goddamn face shield, right?
Yeah.
It's so dumb. Let's say what else what was some takeaways that you can take what is a takeaway from that experience within the pandemic that you're taking away from 2021?
Well, it's still scary until now. It's
Sure.
not. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not even just the virus itself that's scary for me. It's how governments all over the world are responding to it, and that's what is in a way that kind of makes me think about how this is going to not necessarily end, but how things are going to be next year,
Going
2022,
forward.
going
Sure.
forward.
Sure.
It's like, oh my god, it almost feels Orwellian in a way.
Mm.
1984, 85, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
Uh,
yeah, it almost feels that way. It was just interesting because if I don't really follow the whole Miss Universe thing or the pageant thing, but one of the questions
you
there
do.
is I was watching with my
Yeah.
with my
It's
mom.
okay, man. It's all right.
Yeah,
It's all
this
right.
afternoon.
I'm not gonna judge you.
I was watching it with my mom this afternoon. So one of the questions, and specifically to Miss Philippines, uh, was, "Are you in favor of vaccine mandates
Ah,
and
what did she say?
vaccine passports and thing and
Okay,
all that shit?"
QR codes. Oh,
Uh, is that me? Oh my
baby's
lord!
crying, yo.
Oh, it's my cousin. I'm sorry about that. I'm just gonna mute
Yeah.
it. Anyway, uh, it was all about uh, the whole vaccine mandate thing and the whole passport issue. And she fumbled in her answer in a way where which is understandable. You're in front of a lot of people. So she kind of was stuttering a little bit. And but she did say yes, she's in favor of it to mitigate the if I can remember her answer well, the effects of the pandemic. And maybe if we mandate vaccines, I hope I'm not misquoting her, but that's how I remember it. But I think that's a scary idea, right? Like compelling people to be vaccinated, otherwise you would be excluded from society.
Isolated from a lot of restaurants
Can't
and
go to the
establishments.
mall.
Yeah,
The reason why
can't go to the
people are getting
mall.
vaccinated now, a lot of people are getting vaccinated, the lines are so long, is because they can't get into the mall. That's Filipinos for you. Jesus H. Christ.
Just go to the beach,
It's just the
people.
mall,
Just go to the
man.
beach.
I can live without it.
We have lots of beaches here, everybody. In case you didn't know.
Yeah, but that's a dangerous idea, right? It's gonna start somewhere. A lot of content creators I noticed are either for it or against it. I don't know,
Hmm.
but
I guess we'll find out in another
yeah,
10 years.
yeah.
What's the deal?
Who knows?
Looking at the data from that article there, I think it was on NPR actually. Maybe we can post that. But thinking back to when this first started, the missus and I decided that she wouldn't go abroad.
Mm,
So realizing what the outcome has been for a lot of families, I'm glad we made the decision for her
mm. Just to stay here.
yeah, just to stay. And if we have to hustle here, I would rather do that and not risk, having a partial family.
Mm.
As much as possible, it would be ideal, especially for the
Oh, hold on.
yeah, no worries.
It's fun time. All right.
Yeah, so we just took a break.
Yeah, it was a long break, but anyway.
Yeah. But I was mentioning about the decision that we made for the wife not to go abroad, and looking back at the going into this pandemic for 2 years now, I feel like it was worthwhile to try to do a hustle now, considering the facts of what's going on with our fellow Filipinos.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, with that that's going on around here locally, would you rather be here than there in America? What do you think?
I'm
Based
not
on
su-
what you've been hearing about what's going on in there,
I think here, other than California,
other than California, all right?
which is kind of where I spent most of my
Yeah.
life. So I'm happy to have moved on from there. But there are still lots of good places in the U.S. that I'm sure a lot of OFWs are enjoying.
But it's still crazy, right? The way things are being handled there, you think? I mean, based on what you've heard from your
Of
friends,
course,
maybe
it's not perfect
relatives there.
anywhere.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
perfect. Even here.
but it's pretty bad with this culture of fake news now that we have, and people are
Yeah.
so divided, and that's so apparent in 2021.
Yeah.
You have everything from flat Earth
Oh my god.
to
Yeah, man, it's just
people bickering about
vaccines
religion.
and everything. Yeah. Even with the whole culture war going on there in the states. Here, mostly here, it's the politics. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
it's like
lot in a lot of places.
yeah, in a lot of places, there's a huge divide. But
Hey, on a brighter note, on a human level, as a species, we made some great accomplishments this year. I mean, if I just bring up SpaceX, right? I mean, we love talking about that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, wow, the first civilian crew to have orbited the Earth.
yeah, we talked about that, right?
Yeah, we did. But I
past
mean,
episode.
wow, that was amazing this
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
I
in
mean,
itself.
incredible. Completely astronaut free.
Yeah. And even the entrepreneurs, the celebrities who are now going into space. I mentioned William Shatner
Yeah.
on the previous episode, and just Captain Kirk going into space and
It's
just
so awesome.
ex- uh, yeah, just relaying his experience of being this character from a series and the movies from Star Trek, and now he's actually in space. And the way he said it was so poetic and very very, I think, inspiring in a way. So yeah, and now more civilians are going to
I'm
space.
gonna be going.
They're going to be going there. They're thinking about going back to the moon.
More billionaires.
Yeah, more
For now.
billionaires. Yeah,
For
they're the
now.
ones who are capable. So why
Sure.
not?
Yeah,
I'm
they're
not really
they're
against
driving the
it.
technology. They're paying
Exactly.
for those rockets, man.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a lot of good news that's not really on the radar right now, since we have a lot on our plate, especially with this whole pandemic that's going on. I mean, a lot of people are suffering, not just with health issues, but also financial. It affected a lot of our people,
Yeah.
not just here in the Philippines
So
locally.
what about on a national level from 2021? What do you take away from
Hmm.
nationally? What's been going on here?
Yeah, there's a lot. I can't really pinpoint one because it's
Well,
everything. But
Diaz is all I gotta say for as far as a
oh yeah, yeah. Heidelin
national.
Diaz. We talked
Wow.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we did.
that moment
Indeed.
when she won the first gold medal for the Philippines in the Olympics. That was
Incredible.
freaking just
The backstory is amazing.
yeah, and it's inspiring
If
too.
you didn't see that, if you
Yeah.
didn't hear that episode, you can check that one
Yeah,
out.
you can check that one out. We talked about
We have
it.
the clip. We played a highlight on that
Yeah, yeah.
episode, and that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, and come to
Pay
think,
tribute to her.
come to
and
think about it, it's almost like the way she won when we talked about it. When you look at her expression and everything, the way she won and all, you can tell that she has put a lot of work in it, because after she won, all that energy, all that emotions was just captured.
yeah,
And you can see it, right? That's
You can
why,
totally
yeah,
see
you can
it.
totally see it. That was it. Was so one of those moments that's going to be replayed years from now, I'm sure.
for people that don't know
Yeah.
out there, Filipino women do not hide their emotions.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you notice,
Not
like,
very well, anyway.
not very well.
Poker face is not very common with the women here.
But I think that's a very for me to be that vulnerable, and it's a shame that not a lot of men to do that shit, because we're so afraid. I don't know why.
What do you mean?
Uh,
Show emotion?
Yeah, show emotions,
Sure.
and it's not our thing.
Stop masculine,
Yeah,
dude.
it's
Don't be a bitch.
you gotta do the whole masculine shtick.
Be a
so-
man.
Be a man. There's no crying in baseball.
Yeah, I suppose maybe how is that kind of generally what you feel in this culture in the Philippines? Like
I
it's,
think across the board,
if you're showing
maybe.
emotion, you're kind of like a weaker male.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe
I
something like that.
I really think so. That in the, especially when you're with your friends, right? It's rarely that you show any emotions to them. It's mostly when men talk, it's just facts and how I went through my day. There's not really anything that we say that, unlike women, it's like, I was feeling so bad
Yeah.
and all that details with how you felt. It's not really our thing.
Got
but
into a fight with the
Yeah.
wife or something like that. The baby's
So,
driving
yeah.
you crazy.
We were having an argument, but I was telling her like that. When you say, when we talk about it, if we're together, but we don't really say how we feel at that moment. It's just that thing. I don't know why. But should we? I don't know.
Why not?
What do you think? Yeah, why
I
not?
suppose why not? I mean, if you're not feeling great and you need to get it off your chest, I
Mm.
mean, why not? I guess that would be the good thing of having a lot of extended family
Mm.
in this kind of culture, because you have access to other people to speak to. It's just whether or not you're willing to,
Yeah,
I suppose.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, and other than that,
Nationally,
Nationally,
what
what
else do you
happened?
think is happening in
there's a lot.
2021?
2020 even was, which was worse? What do you think?
Which was worse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a question,
Yeah.
I think.
The emotional roller coaster of
My goodness. I
2021.
mean, for me personally, I had a kid, and then now she's turning 1.
Yeah.
So you remember when we first did this thing, she was still pregnant, I think, or maybe not even pregnant.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. So now suddenly it's like her first birthday. So it's like so fast, man.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yep.
We just had our baptism last week. When was that? Saturday, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, or Sunday. Was it Sunday? Anyway, I forgot.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I've been saying it for years. I keep telling the wife, just enjoy it while you can,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
by the time the daughter is 10 years old, she's not gonna want to be near you.
True.
It's like she'll complain sometimes. The kid is latching onto her, doesn't ever
Mm,
want her to leave the house. Even more so now with the pandemic.
yeah,
But as
yeah.
enjoy it while she wants you around, because there's gonna come a point where she doesn't even want to get near
Mm.
you.
Yeah, what's weird though is that because we have cell phones now, right? So we can
Sure.
record at least any moment that we can, because it's accessible. You can always have in your pocket. And anytime
Recorders.
you see a
Yeah.
moment, you can just hit record,
Mm-hmm.
take a
Sure.
picture, take a video. Yeah, I've been like doing this exercise at least once a week, and just reviewing all the photos I have, all the
From
videos
the
I have of
last
my
year.
daughter. Yeah, with our activities with her.
Sure.
And it's strange because this is something new, right? I mean, I'm sure this didn't happen with our parents.
Right.
They had pictures, of
Sure.
course,
Sure.
maybe some
Physical
tapes.
albums. Right.
If they were rich enough, because
True. Yeah.
if you had a video camera before, even during our time, it was kind of expensive.
Sure.
So not
Sure.
everybody can afford a video camera,
Those
a
gigantic
dedicated one.
VCR.
Yeah. And now we have this thing, and even for me, just reviewing those, and then it's kind of like an extension of my memory, a more detailed extension of my memory, and just watching those, it's amazing. I don't know. Looking back at things, I wonder how they would review memories in their time
Through the digital space.
through the digital space.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me,
Through the matrix.
yeah, that's why when we're doing this shit, like recording ourselves on video, it's it's strange, even because we grew up in at a time when this thing was not that common.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it's
Nintendos were common.
yeah, it's very common now, but at the same time, it's unnatural since we didn't, you know, in our time, this was natural. Or you can watch tapes of yourself, but you have to like put in a Betamax or
Yeah.
some VHS, some things to review your
Carry
videos.
this camera that went on
Yeah.
your shoulder.
Yeah, and now it's here. We can review things. We can talk about it. We can even record our voices that
Just swipe
easily in a
left.
snap. Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's even more crazy that this year in 2021 is basically the beginning of the end of the cell phone, because we're coming to a point where gadgets are now going to be worn on your body.
No, I think we're doing that now, but we can't be detached from our phones. We voluntarily bring our phones with us.
True.
If we suddenly just forget about this in the day, you'd panic.
Yeah,
Most of
yeah.
us would just like, oh, where's my phone? I just have this anxiety, right? I mean,
uh-huh.
most people. I mean, I can live without it, but I can't live without the fact that my wife's gonna call, something's gonna happen. Probably my brother needs something, my sister needs something, my friends need something from me. So it's just connected
Yeah.
all the time,
All the
24/7. And that's a natural. I mean, because for us, we didn't grow up this way, right? And now suddenly it's like this. And that for me is how I think in the near future it's exciting and terrifying at
Yeah.
the same time.
Yeah.
Because
This-
can we handle this? That's always been my question. But anyway, maybe that's another topic to talk about in the future. But it's just interesting, just looking back, since we're already past the year now,
Mm,
and my daughter is about to turn 1
yeah.
next week. And when I think about it, a birthday, when we celebrated it, we usually just count the calendars, January, February, March,
Sure.
April, May, and so on.
365.
Yeah, and we don't really think about what a year is even. It's basically just this rocky planet traveling around this obscure star in the Milky Way.
One of so
Yeah,
many
and that's
stars.
just the amount of time that it takes for this rocky planet to travel around that star. And it's amazing. And when I think about it, when my daughter is about to celebrate it, the celebration is it's the journey that took while even she's navigating her environment here physically. We forget that we are together traveling on this rocky planet
Sure.
that we call Earth.
Mhm.
And the cost for celebration for me is, even during New Year's, I always remind my friends, like, all right, happy trip around the sun again. Every New Year, I
Yeah,
always say
yeah,
that
yeah.
message.
Uh-huh.
I always convey that message at
Mm.
least.
We did it together.
Yeah, we did it together. We're traveling,
Mm.
even if we have our separate spaces.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's kind of like a
Yeah,
united birthday.
yeah.
It's some
So it's our way of
celebrating.
now that we have that capacity to understand that. I mean, the old days, we didn't even know that we're just this one of the planet. I mean, we call planets because it's moving there in the night sky. They're wanderers. That's why it's called planet. And then we just realized that just one of those planets is traveling around, but we just happen to think that we're the center of the universe in the past. But now we have this idea that we're not, and it's just
It's
a basic
difficult to
fact.
to
Yeah,
con-
but it's a difficult fact to swallow if you're not prepared to understand it fully, that we are not special, but at
yeah,
the same time we are.
that we could be
Yeah,
alone
alone.
with all the many stars
We
that are
talk
out
about
there.
UFOs all the time. We talk about alien life, the possibility that we're not alone. But what if we are? I mean,
Mm.
just to recap everything, what we've discussed in
What
the
if
past
we
year.
are?
What if we
Yeah.
are? I've said that quote before from Arthur C. Clarke, that there two possibilities exist: either we are alone in the universe or not,
Mm.
and both are equally terrifying,
Yeah.
which is true.
Yeah.
So we should be prepared to face the possibility that we are or we're not. If we're not, then perhaps they'll be malevolent, benevolent. Who knows? Definitely, we're both, right? We can be benevolent and malevolent at the same time. So if we are the aliens going out there and we're
Yeah.
trying to introduce our
We
shit
are
to
the
them, yeah.
aliens. Yeah. For sure.
So yeah, I think that's one of those things that I think about.
We want to probe people.
Yeah,
Stick
every
things in their
year.
butt.
Yeah, and especially now that we're about to travel another year.
Yeah. Here we
So who
go again.
knows? Yeah, here we go again. Who knows what's gonna happen next? I don't even want to think about it,
I
but
would think about it. What about here in Cagayan? Like,
locally,
what do you
I
think has
haven't.
been what happened in
Yeah, it's
2021?
kind of the
Cagayan de
same. That's a
Oro.
strange thing, because as we've discussed a while ago, this whole shared experience that we're having. So that's why anytime I talk to somebody from not just locally, from somebody from the north in Manila, in Cebu, it's
Mm.
basically the same shit that's happening. They're having the same problems. Okay, we're never going back to normal. What is normal? What is the new normal that we're
Right
talking
now,
about now?
nothing is
Yeah,
normal.
nothing is normal.
Not right now.
So this is kind of strange.
Very
I mean,
far
this is the
from it.
first time, at least for me, that I've experienced something like this in this global scale.
Yeah. I think for the island of Mindanao, we had
Mm.
going back to the Olympics. I mean, we had a lot of competitors coming from our area, which is maybe not a Cagayan de Oro. We did have Paalam,
Mm.
which came. He's from Cagayan,
Yeah,
but
the boxer, man.
yeah, the boxer. And
Yeah.
then there's other athletes that are from around here that are
Mm.
also making records. So it's a good time for sports in our area.
In our area, yeah. At least on a positive note, yeah,
For sure.
I'd say.
For sure, no doubt about that. But yeah, that's like a local hero, right?
Mm.
People are like posting
Definitely.
pictures and they
Yeah.
see him around, in the gym and stuff.
Yeah. Anytime you win a medal for the Philippines, that's big.
Oh
Because
yeah,
we don't have, we don't get
any
the, we,
country,
yeah,
right?
but here especially because we
Sure,
don't
sure,
get
yeah.
those, we don't get those
No,
a lot.
no, yeah,
Unlike America
yeah.
or
We brought
Russia.
up Diaz.
Yeah,
When
that's
was the
like a
last
common
time?
thing. But here, when you win a medal, that's like a big honor.
It's epic.
So kudos to them, man.
Yeah, we need more funding in our sports,
definitely.
athletes here.
Mm.
I mean, Jesus. I mean, some of the schools here have terrible facilities for their athletes. It's a joke, man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call any out, but Jesus. When we went looking around for schools for the daughter, I got to tell you, I'm definitely not impressed with some of the maintenance going on around here for the athletes. So hopefully that can change around here, and we put a lot more money into that.
Yeah. There's always room for improvement. So who knows, right? I mean, it's good that we're talking about it, or at least we can consider improving a lot of things that's been going on with sports. I don't know what your take is here. uh, with jiu-jitsu, I was thinking, because I was having this conversation with my friend a few days ago. How do you turn it into a real sport here locally, since we've been talking about it for the past couple of episodes, especially we had guests like see Coach Popo
Hmm.
and see who else we had with
Pow's
Pau. Yeah, there you go,
fellow.
Pau.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to you, Pau. Yeah, we were talking about
Martial
jujitsu
arts
a lot
and
and
yeah.
how it grew here locally.
Hmm.
So how do you think can we turn it into a real sport? It's a sport, of course, and a good martial art, but how can we cultivate it? There you go,
Mm, yeah.
locally.
It's a good thing that you bring it up now because just the other, I think it was just yesterday, maybe, Coach Popo was on, I think, the local news station, talking about jujitsu. So I think that's a good start. That the local news stations are taking recognition to
Mm.
say like
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
a legitimate sport. Like, why don't you guys take a look at this? What this guy's doing because he's spreading this sport, this
Yeah.
art form, this martial art into the local area. So go check it out. And so that was a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't get to see the clip, but it's on TV. I don't have TV, whatever.
Mm.
But yeah, so that's a good start. And then there needs to be more places to train. There's
Train.
just like a huge deficiency in places, locations, academies, dojos, whatever you want to call them,
Mm.
to be able to train with partners.
Yeah. Do you guys have like an inter-school tournament or something going on?
Coach Bobo was trying to
Yeah,
kind of set that up. So,
because that would be big. I mean,
oh
if I
yeah,
were to think about
mm-hmm.
it, if I have a kid and then I would enroll it to a school, and because I like jujitsu, I mean, I watch it,
We
but
watch it all the
I
time.
don't
Yeah.
practice it. But if ever I enroll my daughter, we talked about this.
Mm,
Um, it would be nice if like the school has like a just like a varsity team, right, for
mm.
basketball
Sure,
or
sure.
even of any other sport like swimming, kung individual sports.
Yeah.
What else for boxing? I don't know. It's not that common in private schools, but I know taekwondo
There's more places to
is here.
box
Yeah, but
and do
if
taekwondo than jiu-jitsu.
jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
will be introduced to the private schools, daga
Mm,
na mag practice and then parents would willingly let their children compete sa school level, and it would
mm.
be part of the competition
Yeah.
locally.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good springboard
Mm,
for that uh, kana nga martial art, ang
mm.
jiu-jitsu. So I think that's a good idea. Maybe somebody should start that, man. If anybody's listening,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
definitely. I think that's a good start para mapopularize siya, and
Mm.
then a lot of people will follow it. I mean, the more parents would support it if they see globally it's growing, right? We can't deny that,
Definitely. Yeah,
especially
definitely.
MMA,
Hmm.
and jiu-jitsu is a big component of mixed martial arts.
I mean,
So
One FC is huge
yeah,
here.
one
I
FC is
mean, it's
huge.
gigantic. We have a
Mm,
local MMA team that is like Team Lakai is.
yeah,
They're on your news feed all the time.
yeah. That's also why I'm so bummed about this whole COVID thing, because
Uh,
I've been itching to at least watch you guys there in the
yeah.
gym. Uh,
Man,
Maybe one
imagine
day join
how.
you
Yeah, we
for
all
a
miss it,
session.
man. We all
Yeah.
miss it. There are some places that are going back. I think it's allowed as far as January 1. I think they're gonna start allowing
Mm,
that again. So I think
okay.
by next year, we'll see. We'll see. You know
Yeah,
how
yeah. Who knows?
things have been
We
changing
can only
around.
hope, but
Yeah,
not really bank on that.
yeah.
It could
It's
get worse. Who knows?
it's interesting because we know some people that are in the yoga scene as well, and
Yeah, yeah, especially that, right?
the jujitsu here in Cagayan and the yoga are kind of like in the same state in
Mm,
terms of lacking places to train, and maybe because there's a lack of instructors or just locations. But that's also an issue. There's only so many places in Cagayan that you can do yoga. So if there's people that are out there, they should partner up with the yogis, because a lot of jujitsu practitioners actually practice yoga, because there's a lot of tension and
mm. You still do yoga until now?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, sure,
yeah,
definitely.
I've tried it. Remember when the lockdown happened?
Oh yeah,
We
yeah,
were
yeah,
here. Yeah, that
yeah.
was the time when I really got
Teacher
into it,
Echo,
especially when
shout
my,
out.
yeah, teacher Echo, shout out. When my wife was pregnant, and it really helped me a lot.
Mm.
A lot. Just
Yeah.
managing your stress,
Mm-hmm.
managing the whole situation. You're under pressure. It was the whole. We still don't know a lot about the virus at that time. When
Mm.
if I
The first year.
if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, yeah, the first year.
Mm-hmm.
So it helped manage the anxiety, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, you guys had the group sessions going on
Yeah,
in
yeah.
your place. You
At
had
least
your
once a week we were here.
yeah. So that's a good thing.
It was
And
just family, so
mm,
nothing to worry about
yeah,
in
no
terms of close contact. And
no judgment at least.
yeah,
That's a interesting thing that you bring up because I really feel like that played a big yoga played a big part in saving my relationship.
oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah,
Damn.
I really do, and we'll have to talk about that maybe some
Yeah,
other
another
time.
time.
We'll make that into an episode. How yoga saved
That's gonna
the
take multiple
marriage.
episodes, man.
Yeah, for sure. There's gonna be some crying. Yeah, we don't care around here, man.
Yeah.
If men cry,
The
it's
fuck.
all good.
We're only humans anyway.
You know, the first time that I met the wife,
Mm,
I had actually cried. She saw me cry the first time I ever met her.
really?
Yeah, I
Damn.
can't say that for very many women,
Mm.
and maybe that's why we're married today.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. That's one thing,
maybe
cause
at least part of it, and yoga.
yeah, because that's also a side that you can't really, a side of yourself, or a glimpse of your being that you can't just show to anybody.
Anybody? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it has to be a person who at least has an idea of what you've been through or what your being is. So that your wife, your partner, whoever that person is, yeah,
Whatever you want to call them.
it can be, and you're comfortable, right? Expressing yourself or showing your vulnerable side of you, which is we don't normally do around a lot of people because we usually have this facade that when we're around people that we just don't do that. That's not it's not normal, especially with men. That's what I noticed. I mean, if you've been hanging around with women, I've noticed that their conversations are different. When I'm around men, the conversations are different. It's interesting to
Probably naturally,
yeah,
right?
naturally, and observe that. And I would always adjust the way I speak or the way I think when I'm with different uh, groups of people, kinds of people, because it's also a way of at least what do you call this, adjusting to how they are in that particular moment. I don't know. It's just the way I
Yeah, one
communicate. But
is since we're sounds like we're getting into the micro level now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
20 our takeaways from
Mhm.
the last year. Personally, since you're touching on something there is I was reading into this book called Best Friends Worst Enemies,
Mm.
and it's about the social lives of children, and it's there's a I forget what part of the book, but it states about how the differences with how a male group versus girl groups treat each other when they're being mean to each other.
Mm.
The girl groups tend to talk more about each other, and
Mm.
the boys tend to be more rough.
Mm.
So naturally, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that the women are more talkative, more
Mm.
chatty, more gossipy.
I'm not
Right?
surprised.
It's just something that's inherent, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So maybe no wonder that the males tend not to discuss about deeper feelings
yeah,
of
yeah.
anxiety or what's happening in their life. Just inherently, it's that way.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point. And
Not just helps give you an insight about the dynamics, but also as from a parent's perspective, like
mm.
how, because there's also in the end of the book, it tells you what parents can do,
Mm.
what schools can do. And that
Mm.
was also a big eye opener for me is how big a part that the teachers play and the community plays
Mm.
in the social lives of kids, because you kind of just think of them as they go to school and then they come back. Right. And then
Mm.
obviously you haven't gone through that yet, but
Yeah.
that's kind of how it is. Like they have their school time and then they just come home and that's that. But there's like an actual dynamic of the community at school and how that relates to their social lives going back and forth between these two places amongst the different cliques and groups, how those little cliques and groups influence their
Yeah,
decisions. It's really interesting, and it goes into studies. Like there was a story about these teenagers. They go to a bridge, right? Can you imagine? Like you're probably like 16, 17. You're going out to drink with your friends. You go to a local drinking area, and it happens to be at a bridge, right? So this is the setting. And this was a chapter about, they were talking about hazing, because that's a big group factor, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
hazing is obviously a group activity. So the hazing, to be accepted into this group, that you had to jump off the bridge into the water, right? So for whatever reason, this new kid comes into the group, wants to get initiated, instead of just jumping from where everyone else jumps, decides to go higher up on the bridge, ends up dying,
Ah,
and nobody called anybody to save
Yeah.
that person. Nobody dove in.
yeah.
And they were explaining about the group dynamics of why that kind of situation would happen. It's really crazy stuff, man. Yeah, it's really
It happens all the time too, not just with that.
it does,
With
unfortunately.
fraternities here in the Philippines,
It is, yeah.
it happens like that whole.
Is that
hazing
big
thing.
here?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Oh,
big
man.
here, and
Yes.
almost like every few years it happens, and then some dude dies because they just beat him up too much,
And people will deny it.
and they would deny.
Teachers deny it. The
And-
staff will deny it. I was like, wow, that's deep, man.
Yeah.
That goes way deep into the community and the culture.
I've always had this thought about that. How desperate would you be to get into a certain group?
Yeah.
Like, would you subject yourself to that kind of a physical, let's say, to endure
To be part of the group.
part of the group,
Yeah.
to endure that physically,
Mhm.
and even endure a lot of shit just to be accepted.
Mm.
And I don't know, because I was invited when I was in high school to one of those activities, but I just refused. Maybe I was just scared that I would get fucked up, but I'm glad I made the decision. I mean, why would you fucking just hit me with anything just to make myself to feel like I'm part of this group? I mean,
To
I
be
don't call that
accepted.
friends. I mean, for
Yeah.
me, yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ, my God, my friends. I wouldn't do that to my friends. If I call somebody a brother, maybe if you're in the Navy SEALs, I would understand.
Sure.
If you're in the military, that's just part of the training and all
Mm.
that shit. But just to call you a friend or a brother, really?
Because of that, you went through this
Nah.
humiliating.
Yeah.
Most likely, it's humiliating.
Yeah,
right?
it's mostly humiliation and
Yeah.
a little bit of physical, or maybe a lot of physical shit. Well, that's on you. I mean, if you want to go, then go. But I wouldn't tell my kids to join if that's the case.
So it's really easy to follow. The chapter's not too long. The book is actually almost 10 years old. The
Okay.
things that you can find in the local used bookshops. I know you and I like to spend some time in those shops, but
used
sometimes you
bookstore.
find some good stuff, man.
Mm.
Don't get the one about timeout. I'll just tell you, all of you, any new parents out there, skip the one about timeout. It's a waste of time. Don't buy into that nonsense. Timeout is useless.
I haven't gone through that.
It's actually dangerous.
yeah.
I'll tell you.
I have heard about it from you.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why it's dangerous. I didn't read about this
Mm.
when I did get a book, because it was like, I picked up this book and it's a bestseller. It's got over 2 million copies sold. I was like, oh shit, timeout. Maybe that shit works. Let me go read about that. And I'll tell you this, after trying to implement it, man, I realized that how dangerous it can be.
Mm.
The reason it is that, 'cause you imagine you already have a kid that's crying their head off.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And then you tell them, you go into this room, you stay there until you stop crying.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you go to maybe like what we were doing, we were closing the door.
Mm.
Okay. So imagine this. You're going to close the door. Your kid is running after you because they're having a fit,
Yeah.
reaches out while you're closing the door, tries to grab the door.
Yeah.
Right. That is super dangerous, man.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what naigani natanaw ko sa obos.
Mm.
I saw her hand come around the door, and I was like, "Oh!"
And this
wow.
was a few years ago.
when
a
she
bit
was
younger.
3 years old.
All right,
When she was
yeah.
3 years old, yeah.
Mostly.
I was trying to practice timeout, and
Alright.
I that was the last time
That you did that
this is
Alright.
dumb.
Okay.
Like this is they didn't tell you and they didn't give you any warning about that one in the book.
I wonder what the research
Bullshit.
shows, though. Yeah, I wonder what the research shows about that
About
method.
timeout?
Yeah,
Yeah, apparently it's a dying
it's a design
practice. It's a
practice.
dying
Or
practice, yeah.
it's just like genital mutilation or
Yeah.
something. I don't know.
Not dying fast enough. Not fast enough, but
So it's not a advisable idea. Just
no, I think the current understanding is that timeout is a waste of time, and maybe there are some like special cases
all
where
right.
you could use it, but I think in general the psychologists are
Oh, I
no longer
see.
recommending it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a very convenient way of disciplining your kids.
Yes,
It's just
yes,
like smacking them on the head.
yeah.
Because this is
Good
one
way to
way of just shutting them up. Right now, I need some time for a quiet time for myself. Shut the f up.
yeah
Go to the corner or
yeah.
whatever.
Stop
But what
crying.
you don't understand, or what most of us don't understand, since we forget that we were children once, we were teenagers once, is that
Sure.
being on that mindset, if you can only remember, I hope, even I forget a lot of times. I don't even remember that, but I can only imagine how I think confusing it could be for that being, that human being
Totally
that's there.
confusing,
Yeah,
man.
it's just sensory overload.
Doesn't make any
Overload.
sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. What is this that I'm touching right now? That's why they're so curious.
Mm,
I'm touching a surface. Oh my god! I'm putting it in my mouth because I'm trying to feel it.
yeah.
Because my fingers are not that developed yet. That's
Mm,
why a lot of infants put things in their mouths,
mm-hmm.
because mostly the lips are more sensitive than at that stage in their development than the fingers. So they would put things in their mouths. And when they start walking, they would be cruising using the furnitures, right? They would be walking and just
Mm,
slowly navigating their way towards the environment. And when they fall, they cry, and they would just constantly be just on you. Just like, "Hey, help me get this thing. I want to
yeah,
see
yeah.
this. I want to look at
Things
this.
shiny over
Yeah,
there.
I want to smell it. I want to taste it." And you're busy with your work. Most of us just do that, just shove them off. It's like, oh, well, shut the fuck up, man. I'm trying to do something. Your mom and I are having a fucking argument. Don't fucking bother me. Yeah, but if you only try to put yourself in their perspective, it's like how confusing it would be. That's why they're trying to tug into dear life when
Mm,
they tug into your
yeah.
mommy's legs or your legs, or trying to just uh, be comforted, because we're alone. It's the same feeling. If I have to go back to the macro thing,
Mm,
it's the same feeling I have now as an adult of not knowing whether we're alone in the universe or not.
mm.
It's the same fucking feeling. It's like I have anxiety just thinking about it.
It's like exploding.
Yeah, yeah. And are in the same situation as us. It's our job to let them know that I'm here.
Mm.
We're here to let
Supposed
you
to be the
know that,
safe house.
yeah, it's a
Mhm.
safe house, a safe environment. We are your parents. We're gonna show you love. We're gonna show you compassion, empathy, and everything. We're gonna teach you how to cultivate that. And as human beings, I think that's how we should at least uh, train them, and how to navigate their environment through love, through um, showing affection. If we do that more often, I think it
More
would be a,
patience
yeah, but
for
it's
sure.
hard. I mean, that's
It
an
is hard.
idealistic. I know
It's so
it's a very
difficult, man.
idealistic thing. Not a lot of people would probably just say, "Ah, you're saying that," and it's not gonna happen. Maybe it's not. It's not gonna happen because we choose not to. We choose every day to do the latter. So there's no way around it. The only way is for you to show them. You have to spend time with them. You have to
Mm,
at least comfort them every day, every waking moment. That's the mission. If we're astronauts, then that's the mission. The mission is to keep this thing alive, the human spirit, the planet, consciousness, us, and not just us. And when we were having that conversation, which is very interesting with Agnes, about not just taking care of ourselves, taking care of other animals, although we may not agree with it. All
mm.
of us in which one is on the hierarchy? Are we on top? Are we the apex predator? We should act like it. So who knows? I don't know, but we can. the what I've learned is that since we can think about it, we have the capacity to be conscious about it. Then we should talk about it, and we should at least practice it if we can. I mean, you've had your plant-based diet for how long now?
As long as my daughter's been alive,
Yeah,
so
so that's like
six and
years,
a half
man,
years.
of
Yeah,
discipline
6.5 years.
and sticking to your convictions. And I want to reduce my. I hope I'm not misquoting you. I want to reduce my impact on the planet. At
Sure,
the same time, I want to be healthy. So that's
That's-
your goal.
that's fair. Yeah.
So for me, that's a very noble idea. I can't do it for now, but I hope I can. For the past years, I've been trying to at least better myself or lessen my impact and, as they say, your carbon footprint on the
Yeah.
planet, which could be futile, which could be, it could be useless. A single individual has no bearing on the universe. How much more, even our own species could not have a bearing on the universe, but who knows? Whatever could happen. Individually, we can have we can affect our families, we can affect our friends.
Mhm.
Especially, that's why I love being a father, because I am
Mm.
directly responsible for the actions of my daughter in the future. So slowly, I am very aware of how I train her. We train her every day.
Mm.
I want to show her love so she can show love in the future when she grows up and cultivate love in her own lifetime. So that would be, I think, the ultimate goal for me. So
Yeah, that's one thing I think you're touching on there is something I've been able to observe over the years is that there's a lot of parents that obviously love their kids, but also make them very competitive.
yeah, which
and
is, I think, a good thing.
could be good, could
Yeah,
be bad.
yeah.
It depends on for what
Yeah,
what
competition is
reasons,
good.
I
I think,
guess.
in my opinion, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good thing.
Mm.
They can become independent and be motivated to do things.
Mm.
I think
Or
it.
rise above the rest.
Yeah, sure, sure. That's definitely needed. And
Yeah. It's like I
but
can't settle for less. I
yeah,
can't settle to be mediocre. Some people just want to be on top.
yeah,
And
and but it makes me wonder though, how much parents are putting into
yeah, into
teaching
that. Or just
compassion,
that.
teaching love,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
how
yeah.
to be
Good point.
patient and
Exactly.
versus being competitive,
Yeah.
which is obviously desired. And with a lot of parents, they
Yeah.
want their kids to, like you said, rise up and
Mm.
succeed, which obviously requires to be competitive.
Mm. Which I think begs the question of how we can be competitive and cooperative at the same time.
Yeah, and
I can
that's
be
probably
in
very
competition with you, with my sisters, with my brothers, with my wife, with whatever endeavor that I'm
people do
trying to
that.
be.
They
But I want to
compete
do
with
it
their
in a
kids.
very cooperative way. I want to do it that I want to bring everybody up with me rather than just me alone on top of the pedestal.
Yeah, yeah.
And then what happens next? The game is over. It's gonna be boring after, right?
Yeah.
When you're on top and you
You're all
just
alone.
win, and you're alone there, and then you have nobody to play with. You feel dead. It's like the game is dead. I
Sure.
think the goal would be. I've read this somewhere. It's like the objective should. I don't know if it relates to game theory. It's like the objective for us as a species should be to keep the game going. It's not about winning just for the sole purpose of winning, and then because that's it. When you win, when you're
Leaving
in top,
people behind.
yeah, the game is
Putting them
over.
down.
Everybody would be bored as fuck when the game is over, right?
Sure.
It's like, all right, I already lost, already won, and I don't have anybody to compete with.
Yeah.
So that's why cooperation is important. Okay, when you're on top, and then you want to elevate the game, right? I want to keep the game going. All right, so I'm gonna build something that's gonna keep the game going, and everybody can compete again. And maybe I'll challenge myself again over these new things. So we keep evolving it until because we cultivate that part of us that's competitive, right? Because that's the human spirit. We always wanna be up,
Challenge
Yeah,
ourselves.
challenge yourself.
Explore the limits.
Yeah.
I mean, look at
Explore the
we're
limits.
going to
Why would we
Mars.
stop that shit? That's a good thing. That's what made us be in this position and this planet right now. Is most of us just want to be one up each other all the time. I'm
Yeah.
better than you.
Yeah.
I want to be on top. I want to be first place. I don't want to be second place, third place, fourth place. Fuck that. I want to be first.
Yeah.
First man on the moon. I was going to be the first man on Mars.
Yeah.
Neil Armstrong was a special man along with his crew.
Mhm.
Buzz Aldrin, Michael Collins. They were the first to
Michael
be
Jordan.
on uncharted territory, and so was Magellan, which I fucking hate it when people hate Magellan here in the Philippines, just
Yeah.
because he was a conqueror, he was an explorer first. People forget that
Sure.
his voyage, he wasn't the first one to circumnavigate the world. It was Antonio Pigafetta, if I'm not mistaken. But it was his voyage. He was a Portuguese, but he was adopted by Spain because of politics. But anyway, just go back on history. But his voyage was the first to circumnavigate the world, man. And he had to be here in the Philippines. He died here, and Lapu-Lapu's man or whoever killed him. But that was part of history. But the way they teach history, I was having a conversation with our friend Papa Mick the other day.
Yeah.
The way they teach history is that Lapu-Lapu is a hero, which is okay, fine. He's a hero here locally, but people forget the Magellan's voyage, uh, how it had an impact globally.
Mm.
The first circumnavigation of the globe, man. That is
Yeah. That's epic.
yeah, that's epic. And I wouldn't mind, as a Filipino, I wouldn't mind saying that. And there was this animated film that was shown. That's controversial. I haven't seen it yet, so I wouldn't comment on it now. But it was they were trying to ban it here. Some scenes here in the Philippines. I forgot the
Right.
title because Magellan was portrayed as a hero. I'm not saying he's a hero. Every conqueror on this planet, every explorer has killed a bunch of people.
A
Even
lot of people.
our ancestors has
Yeah.
done terrible things on this planet. Remember that,
Yeah.
people. I'm not vying for any historical figure here. I'm just saying, as a human being looking at history on a big picture, Magellan has a fucking epic impact
Yeah.
on this planet. All right,
Yeah.
that's my thing. And people are may criticize us for
Yeah.
that.
But we're
I
part
don't
of
care.
that.
Yeah,
We're part of the
yeah,
history.
we're part of the history.
Yeah.
Even my ancestors killed. Maybe our grandfather has killed a bunch of people. He was a soldier.
I'm sure he did.
He's considered as a
Probably
hero.
didn't have a choice.
He's got the medals to show for it. But he had to kill a bunch of Japs and during their time, because they were coming into our territory and trying to rape our women, kill and fucking pillage
Yeah.
and conquer our shit. No fucking way. I'm standing my
Yeah.
ground. I'm gonna kill you first, motherfucker. And yeah, and that's the thing. That's what men had to do at that time. And at this time,
Some women too.
yeah, I'm not saying that we have to do the same shit, but recognize the human frailty and the human capacity for violence that we do this. We sometimes, even in our history of our whole species, was built on a lot of fucking violence and inspiration and a lot of love. I'm not saying love had nothing to do with it. Now we're trying to minimize violence, right? So there's the question of does this make us more, or does this make us be even more predominantly, let's say, how should I say it? Be or to stay on top of the food chain. Does the question, I think, would be evolutionarily, should love or versus violence, how can we be on top still? Can we still use love and be on top of things? I think so.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, we've explored that shit for a long time, but can we maintain being loving beings at the same time being on top?
Yeah. I think like when you were mentioning our conversation with Agnes and we were talking about different species, one thing I always like to remind myself is that we are one earthling. Okay, but
Yeah.
we
We're
clearly
Homo
have
sapiens. Homo.
Yeah.
Anybody who calls somebody Homo for fucking as an insult, that's terrible.
yeah.
We're
It's
Homo
so dumb.
sapiens.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. Yeah.
so
Anyway, sorry about that.
It's apish, bro. But thinking of Spider-Man movie is about to come out right now. No Way Home. But that's it's a good quote from those comics. With great power
Comes
right?
great.
Uncle Ben's
Yeah.
timeless,
Uncle
timeless
Ben.
Uncle
With
Ben.
great power comes.
Great responsibility.
Yeah, man. Uncle Ben, Papa Ben.
Yeah, yeah. That's right. So that's a good way to think about it. Is like
Yeah.
we
We
obviously
have
have the
the power.
capacity.
We
Yeah,
have the
we
power.
have, but
That's
we
true.
have the
We have the
responsibility.
responsibility.
It's paired with that. It's
Mm.
paired with that. You can't separate the two, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's fundamentally how I feel about speciesism
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Which I think I agree with, really, when it come to think about it.
I feel like it makes, for me anyways, it makes
Yeah.
the most sense.
Yeah.
We have to, just like being a parent, right? You
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
be a responsible parent because you have the
we
capacity.
know better, and
Yeah,
we
you have the capacity.
True.
You should know.
Mm.
You should know, and therefore you should practice something better than slapping your
Oh,
kid
yeah.
around
Yeah. Or killing animals.
or killing and slapping animals around.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm not stating that it's right or wrong for now. I could change my
It's
mind
pretty brutal.
tomorrow, but it's
There's
pretty
no
brutal.
denying it's
Yeah.
pretty brutal.
That's why I was so engrossed with that conversation with Agnes, because it really opened my mind to exploring that idea of going to that lifestyle.
Mm.
I haven't yet. I haven't made a decision for now, but I'm deeply exploring it. Like, but
Yeah,
who knows? Yeah, yeah. Maybe next year. I don't know.
yeah. One thing I really appreciate from that conversation is that she was very transparent.
Yeah,
when,
yeah.
when she went to Kamiging, she found it very difficult to stick to a vegan diet,
Mm.
and
It's
so,
the conviction, right? Like this is how I feel. I don't do this kind of lifestyle just because I want to minimize the impact I have on suffering.
Mm,
I think, at least, I hope I'm not misrepresenting
yeah, that's the main
anybody's views,
that's the
but
main
yeah,
stance.
that's
for
how
vegan.
I
It's-
took it.
It's not less about the diet
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, even though we had some back and forth about other species suffering other than animals. Plants, of course, they don't have, as we know for now, any capacity to feel pain. Maybe they don't have any pain receptors, but we still consume it. Insects, we kill them all the time. That's probably one of the arguments I have with the whole thing about suffering,
Mm.
or not doing that because of suffering.
Yeah.
Because every minute that we consider in our life to breathe involves suffering with other things.
Mm.
Every time I walk, I would step on something, maybe an ant or something, I would die. That's how fucked up I think the world is. So for me, it's not the suffering. It's more of, how do I describe it? Shit.
Well, one thing you just reminded me of is that when you were talking about stepping on something, I think it was Paul Stamets. I'm pretty sure on one of his talks, and he said when you walk along the path, mushrooms will sprout from where you walked, and there's an understanding. The old way of life is you would walk around on the land, right? And every step you took, you're actually helping decompose the
Really?
topsoil. Yeah. So if you can think of kind of that concept where every step you take, you're actually contributing to the cycle of the planet.
Instead of contributing to the destruction of the
Instead of
planet.
destruction,
Yeah,
right.
because that's how I feel
Mm.
right now. My whole existence is built on the idea that I am contributing to the detriment of the planet, or the whole
Sure.
destruction of the planet. The whole time that
All of us are.
I'm
All of
existing
us.
and my daughter is existing, I'm consuming things.
Yep.
We're gonna be having a birthday party, more consumerism. Gonna have to buy more
More
things,
chemicals.
more shit, more chemicals and shit. So what's the
Chemical
fucking point? Yeah,
candies.
that's the cynic in me, and just
But it's a reality.
Yeah,
right?
it's a
That's the
reality.
reality of the situation.
yeah, but that's a good place to start with if you want to be optimistic. Maybe
Mm.
I think walking on this planet at the same time contributing something.
Yeah. That's how it used to be until we started walking around
Yeah.
in cement all the time, and
We've lost our
We lost it.
connection with nature.
for sure. I mean, to a big degree.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
artificial now. I mean, it feels like it even.
I mean, mountainsides look very similar these days. If you go to the mountains there in Balingasug, and go to the mountains in Bukidnon,
Mm.
there's not much difference
Yeah.
because they're bare.
Okay.
there's not much growing there, right? And that's an unfortunate
Yeah.
commonality with two places that are very different.
Yeah. It could have something to do with because we live in the city,
Oh yeah, for
so
sure.
um, there's this disconnect from nature. I mean, we have access to it if we just travel a little bit, few minutes. We can go to Mapawa. Anybody else?
If it's still open.
Yeah, if it's still open. But we did have that before. But now, when you wake up to the sound of screeching motorcycles,
Dogs
cars,
barking.
dogs barking, the smell of the smell of smog, pollution, and everything. And at night, like right now, we are. I'm sorry to tell that you don't have the view that we're having right now. But it's all city lights.
Yeah.
We're in a terrace, and we can see we're overlooking the city, and all you can see are city lights.
Mm.
And that's a very unnatural thing because it used to be like we would look up and we would see
The moon.
lights, stars. If it
Yeah.
wasn't cloudy, of course, you would see
Skylights,
thousands
yeah.
of
Not these
yeah,
skylights.
no, not these lights. But now when we see in our horizon, we see artificial lights,
Mm.
and I wonder how it affects. That's why we have this disconnect with nature because space is part of nature. The cosmos is nature. We are part of that.
Yeah.
We forget it, and I think that's the problem with now. That's why astronomers will always say, always look up, always look up, don't look down. And now we're compelled to look down with our cell phones or through our horizons with our overlooking shit, and we'll be mesmerized by the lights of the city. It's
Ne-
boring.
Now we look at stars through an app.
Yeah, through an app.
It's like, oh, what's that over there? Let me hold up this app.
Yeah, and we always talk about astronomy in this podcast or in this channel, but I'm still not seeing any improvement in terms of. But we do have the observatory, right? I sent you that link.
It's not here yet.
It's not here yet,
not
but
here
that's
yet.
good news.
Hopefully
Locally,
sooner than later.
yeah, it's in El
We're-
Salvador.
we'll
For
be
anybody
first
who's
in line, man.
interested, it's gonna open, I think, next
We'll be
year.
waiting
Yeah,
outside.
it's a planetarium observatory.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully they do a good job.
yeah, maybe if this podcast is still alive or this channel is
By
still alive,
then.
but we're gonna visit there. We're gonna do the
That'd be
live
fun,
thing.
man.
Yeah,
That'd be
we're gonna
fun.
do a live
Yeah,
thing there.
Let's
Maybe
do it.
if you think that's a good idea, hit us up.
Yeah.
You can come with us
Yeah.
anytime.
Yeah, let's have
Yeah.
like an episode out there.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a good
Maybe
one.
we can do like a like a trunk episode. Car, the
I've been
back of the
itching
pickup
to
or something.
have at least a local planetarium in my lifetime here locally, but never.
That is big news for 2021,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That was big news.
That was
Yeah.
big news.
Yeah.
So who knows? So that's one thing we can look forward to in 2022 if
Yeah,
we're
and
still alive.
While you're touching on that stuff, it's interesting to think about, all this multiverse, all these movies in Marvel are coming out, and with the advent of Meta, it's kind of more apparent in 2021
Yeah.
that people are living in different realities,
Mm.
right? I mean,
yeah.
because we're like here, we're sitting
Yeah.
under nature, but we experience it through these apps. We hold
Mm.
up an app to the sky. What's that planet over there? And
Mm.
we're now in a different reality.
It's
And
different
now
from
with the
them.
advent of Meta, oh my goodness, it's gonna be deep,
Sure.
man. People are just gonna be off somewhere
Yeah.
else.
I wonder how
Not here.
how communication could be in that space, their time.
It's gonna be interesting. I mean,
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
it's
I hope
2021 is the
Yeah.
official start, right?
I hope though we can learn how to communicate more openly with one another. That's my at least hope for 2022 onwards. Because the way I see with social media and everything is that's why we always see it's shallow and everything because people do it with memes, people do it communicate with just sound bits and everything. There's no more of this long form conversation that we're having right now. Although we're doing this podcast, but we're still having a conversation, right?
Mm.
And then people will be tuning in or listening in, whoever that is.
Our daughters.
Yeah, daughters
That's about it.
probably. That's about it. But yeah, you're investing your time because you want to know more. You want to know more of the content to the whole conversation itself. You're not just getting some bits and pieces of those and then turning it into something else just to get a sound bite for yourself that you can use or whatever. But absorbing information really fully is hard. You have to invest hours of your time. When I listen to other podcasts, I listen every bit of it from the first minute until the third hour, fourth hour sometimes. So at least I can get the sense of a whole whatever content there is to it.
Hmm.
It takes a lot of time,
For sure.
and we've lost that because we've decided that maybe 1 minute 30-second sound bites and maybe 30-second or TikTok videos that we have is a good communication.
Memes,
Yeah,
bro.
memes, which is
Memes.
okay, fine.
It's all about the
Uh,
memes.
that's on you. I mean, if that's how society functions, then so be it.
I saw it on a
And
meme, bro.
yeah, then maybe that's our way of communicating in the future. But I think it's a good idea to still. Sometimes we just need to take a step back and listen, absorb information, and really rationalize it fully. At least consider it before we can put our thoughts behind that realization, whatever we took from it.
Most especially when you have kids.
Yeah, most especially when you have kids.
There's so many times you gotta pull yourself back. You're like,
Mm, take a deep breath.
I'm gonna go through the wall right now.
'Cause that's how it should be, right? I mean, wouldn't it be better, I think, if we practice that with our kids, the way how we communicate with them? How did, if you've observed your life when your parents were mad at you, usually it involved a lot of, let's say, sa Bisaya, payaw-yaw.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
You were like this, like that. But whoever asked you, like, what the fuck is wrong? Tell me.
Sure.
Tell
Yeah.
me what's bothering you. I'm
Mhm.
willing to listen. I'm willing to take a step back. I'm just gonna listen. I'm not gonna judge you for now. I'm gonna give you my thoughts later, right? I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
if that's how we communicate with our kids, I'm just saying. Um, one day she's gonna grow up and she's gonna have her own consciousness and all that, have her own opinions. Okay, I'm not. I won't agree with it, but the best practice for me would be to just take a step back, listen. Why did you do that? Why did you decide on that thought and idea? Okay, I'm gonna challenge that. I'm gonna challenge that, and I demand that you challenge me too.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's up for grabs.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
not just a one-way thing.
Ask questions.
I demand that you challenge me too, and then we can have this conversation and let's see which one has the best argument.
Mm.
And it could be we're both wrong. It could be that you're right. And if I'm
Mhm.
wrong, it's just my ego that's telling me I'm right all the time, but I'm willing to say that I could be wrong.
Sure.
But if that's how we keep communication lines open, then I think this would be a better world in the future. If that's how we train our kids, and it's hard. I know it's hard.
It
I
is.
haven't been there.
Easier said than done.
That's
for sure.
how I
for
imagine
sure.
it
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now. Maybe 5 years from
Yeah.
now, I'm gonna be making the same shit, the same. Ah, you're a fucking hypocrite. Okay, but I'm just saying at
It's
this
difficult.
moment,
It's
that's how I
difficult,
see
yeah.
it.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's not a.
Yeah,
It's not like something you can just practice without
yeah.
without practice.
Without
I
practice.
mean, it's definitely a difficult thing, and I think a good place to start is getting comfortable with saying you're sorry to your kid.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
how
like, I made a
hard is
mistake.
that?
It's
How
very
hard
difficult.
is that to admit that you're wrong?
It gets easier.
Even to your wife or your
Yeah.
partner.
Yeah.
How hard is it to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I know where I was at. But at the same time, I reacted this way because I didn't agree with this part where you told me this and that. That's why communication lines is both ways. Because she also has to say, yeah, I know, but sometimes it would be, no compromise. It would be sometimes in my part, I'm right all the time.
Yeah.
So it's the end of the conversation.
Uh-huh.
So one of you has to at least bring yourself down to planet Earth. It's like, okay, I'm dealing with a human being
Yeah.
that reacts to certain emotions.
Yeah.
So, all right.
The
If it has to be you, then it has to be you.
the trap I think is very easy to fall into is to believe that you have complete control of your kid.
Yeah.
I think that's a
This is
that's like a
bullshit.
parenting
Yeah.
trap. I think a lot of
There's
parents
no way.
want to do that.
Yeah.
They want to control, have someone to control, and it's understandable. I mean, maybe with personal things that are happening in people's lives,
Mm.
it's the only place that they feel like they have control,
Yeah.
and that could be a big issue if
Mm.
that's where you are expressing your level of control. Is
Mm.
the only place that you have it is with your kid. That's probably not a good thing.
Yeah. And it becomes like a control thing.
Yeah,
Like,
you
since
don't
I'm
want
in
that.
control of this, I'm rolling with this shit. It's like a power tripping thing. It's like
Mm.
I'm able to dictate because I'm the man. I'm the father.
The red line gets very fuzzy, and then you start dictating what they're going to do professionally,
Yeah.
when they're going to go
Right.
out,
Right.
what school they go to, right? And that's like, why do you as a parent feel like
Yeah.
you have to control that many decisions?
Yeah.
It's like when the daughter is talking to her friends, sometimes I catch myself wanting to give my input, like you say this, say that, or it's like you want to um not really control the conversation, but control maybe in a way what your kid is saying to
Mm.
their friends. And it's like, why am I doing that? Like, I don't need to micromanage her conversations. And so it's
Yeah.
like you have to take a step back, like you were saying,
Yeah.
and be like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Why? I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just leave her be, right?
Mhm.
Let her just do her thing and express herself the way she wants to, regardless of how embarrassing or like make me cringe
Yeah.
or whatever. That's just her expressing herself, and just let it be. And that is actually more difficult than it sounds,
Yeah. True.
because
So,
we have that urge to control.
yeah. So one of the perils of fatherhood,
Yeah,
and
it's difficult, man.
it's difficult. Yeah.
No
I
doubt
don't
about it.
think anybody has the right answers to
No
the
perfect
problems.
answer
Yeah.
for
No
sure. I
perfect
mean, I don't even think the
answer.
psychologists even
Yeah.
have all the answers
So
to
we can
this
always
stuff.
look at the data, all the research, which is good. We follow it. Which ones are bad, which ones are preferable. But at the same time, there's an art to it, an aspect to it where you can.
Oh, for sure.
It's like shaping, or when you're doing painting, you're making a song or doing poetry. It's the same with dealing with your children. You're shaping them into human beings that you want them to be in the future. It's not just about you. They have their own things since they're conscious beings. But at the same time, you have a hand in it. It's like doing pottery and things. It's like, right, I'm shaping them to be this and that.
In real time.
Yeah, it's almost like an art form in real time if you can only
But
fast forward time. But yeah, it takes.
There's no second take.
Yeah, there's no second take. It takes a
That's the thing.
lot of discipline. And it's
That's the thing.
hard, man. It's
So
hard.
hard, man.
It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, I must say. Harder than marriage, harder than
So at this point, you're
staying alive.
your daughter is going to turn 1. If you can give advice to someone who's maybe just about to have a kid, or is just they just had a newborn, like, what would you say for that first year?
I don't want to give advice, but it's
Something maybe
yeah,
that you
something
realized.
maybe I realized. As I think I would follow your realization. It's like no expectations. I think I agree with that, because I also had these expectations
Sure.
when
As
I was like,
early
yeah,
as
she's-
newborn.
yeah,
as early
it's
as
a
people
human
are,
thing to
gonna
do.
Be a doctor.
she's gonna be a scientist.
Yeah.
I hope she's gonna be an astronaut one day.
Yeah.
She's gonna be smart.
She's
gonna
going to
be-
Mars, man.
Yeah, she's going to Mars. But what if it turns out the other way?
Yeah.
Right?
She doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Then
so,
that becomes a disappointment for you.
yeah,
because
it
you
becomes
put
the
those expectations
disappointment,
on
and because
her.
you had expectations.
Yes.
I think for me, what I learned is that through that no expectation
At least minimal.
philosophy, yeah, at least I would expect something.
Gotta have some expectations.
But yeah, for me it would be just no expectation, but keeping the human spirit alive in her through me. I think the lessons I've learned in my life is it's a fucking arduous journey here, being just alive. And how do I translate that to her that she wouldn't be dismayed? She wouldn't be how should I say that? Turn out, because I've experienced this, traumatized. Just give up on the human endeavor. I hope I can be an inspiration to her one day, and I can give her some inspiration to whatever challenges that you face in this life. It's a temporal thing, I think. My father is dead, but he's alive in me right now, and I will die soon. And you will keep on living. And if you think it's a worthy endeavor to be a mother, if you're listening, to be a parent one day, and this is to keep that human spirit alive, and cultivate love, cultivate empathy, and just keep grinding. I guess it's hard. Nobody can tell you it's gonna be a cakewalk. Certainly, it's not. But knowing that you can just live and love at the same time, maybe. I guess that's
Definitely.
that. Yeah.
That's a good place to end it, man. You want to close out the new year with that thought right there?
Yeah, sure. Uh, we'll just close it out with something that for the new year, a message from my man, Dr. Carl Sagan.
Rest in peace.
Of course, rest in peace.
Rest in power, son.
Yeah, I
Rest in
have.
the stars.
I did name you after him for a reason. So he's got a really good message. This is from his book, The Pale Blue Dot.
From this distant vantage point, the Earth might not seem of any particular interest. But for us, it's different. Consider again that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on a mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam. The Earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on the scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe, are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. The Earth is the only world known so far to harbor life. There is nowhere else, at least in the near future, to which our species could migrate. Visit? Yes. Settle? Not yet. Like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand. It has been said that astronomy is a humbling and character-building experience. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, It underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known.
Amen. Thank you, Carl Sagan. And thank you for joining us here at Tatay Time.
Happy
It was a
2022,
pleasure.
yo.
Happy 2022. And Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, everyone. And hopefully you can still join us next year, 2022. And we'll see you soon. Thanks, Papa Ben.
See you next year, Papa Loy.
See you next year. Goodbye, people. And Daddy on, soldiers.